I was born on a farm in Alberta. The only high school was a Catholic high school, and they wouldn't let you have horses on the school ground. And the high school was a Catholic high school. And Daddy told me that I didn't need an education to be a farmer. And I said, I want to be a doctor. There's the road. So that's what I did. I hitchhiked to Oregon. And I went to school for the high school. And that was an experience. They didn't do like they do now. The high school, whenever it was time for like to dig potatoes or pick oranges, they brought buses up and they took the high school boys and they went and did the work. They don't do that now. And I got a job with a subsidiary of International Harvester as a floor scrubber. Well, that turned into not just scrubbing floors, but restoring tractors, because it was a farming community. And I delivered tractors and cleaned them and painted them. And well, that didn't pay much money, so at 7 o'clock at night, then I went up, I got a job as an apprentice in the theater. So I learned to operate the projector in the theater. Then I went home at 1 o'clock in the morning and did my homework. And I had plenty of opportunities. In fact, I had an old gentleman that offered me 7 acres of ground. Well, as young as I was, I didn't understand stuff like that. But I wish I had, because when I got back out of the service, that piece of property sold for $5 million. Yeah, wow. But that's life. And when I was in the service, I don't know where they come up with their ideas, but I went to California for my service, and I went to Salt Lake. They sent the company to Salt Lake, and it was just at Christmas time. And I don't know what happened, but anyway, they wouldn't let me off the base. Everybody else got to go home and got to friends for Christmas, but they wouldn't let me off the base. And when I finished basic training, you got a month to go home. They called it Repple-Depple. And, well, of course, I went back to the farm in Alberta, and when I got there, I come down with chicken pox. Well, the health officials sent a telegram to Baltimore, Maryland, where I was supposed to go. They had no record of me coming in there. And he sent a telegram to California at the training station there. He's moved out. We don't know where he is. But as soon as I was clear of chicken pox, when I got to the border, there was the handcuffs. Two MPs escorted me to Baltimore, Maryland, where they put me in the brig. Wow. Well, then, after 6 weeks of being in the brig, then the commanding officer come over and got me and put me with the company, and I did nothing. All the rest of them went out, but then they sent us to Oregon, and we was put on a troop ship for overseas. Now to get back to local. I don't understand. Of course, I'm old. I'm 90 years old. I've lived through an awful lot. But I don't see why. When you have a baby, why you pass it off to somebody else to raise? I thought that that's what a mother was for, was to educate her kids, to put them out on the world to do what they have to do. But that isn't happening here. They spend millions of dollars on that kids sport to put 4- and 5-year-old kids out there to play. Why don't mamas and daddies teach these kids to do that? Why spend taxpayers' money? It don't make sense to me. And why do we pay unemployment when there are jobs around, but you pay and nobody has to work because they get more money in unemployment than they do working? It's a screwed up world as far as I'm concerned. And we have the first thing that I think that should happen in this legislature is that they should have a survey of all the old people. Say, let's start at 70 years of age. Find out how many old people from 70 on up are living by themselves. And they're spending money like crazy for young kids that it won't mean anything to them when they get up to 10, 12 years old. You know, it just irks me, that's all.
I understand. I do want to back up just a little bit and ask you about some of the other jobs that you had. You mentioned that you were a radio announcer?
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
Well, when I got out of the service, they said that you could go on the GI Bill. Well, at that particular time, it was just radio. That was before television come on. So I went to a known school in Hollywood, and I spent 3 years there studying to be a radio and television announcer. Well, when I finished that, announcing for television was in progress. Well, the people that were already announcers that had 20 years or so, they got first bids as announcers for television. I traveled all the way up the coast from California up to Canada, trying to get into an announcing a radio station. The mayor of Calgary helped me, and he told me one day, he says, I've got a place for you in Lethbridge. So he told me the day, and well, when I got to the bus station, he caught me and he says, sorry, Ray, but it's already taken by somebody that has 17 years experience. So I left Canada and come back to the United States. And I've done about everything imaginable.
What was your favorite job?
The thing that I liked most was beekeeping.
How does that work?
That was great. You don't go in and work with bees if you're upset, because they don't like that. I spent 20-some years as a beekeeper.
Wow.
The first load of honey that I sold was to a farmer's market on Beach Boulevard in California, was 2,000 pounds. And I did that all by myself.
Wow.
But I loved working with bees. I was working for the school district, and of course they gave me permission to go out when the bees would get on the doors of schools, and so I would go out with my cardboard box and I'd scoop them up and take them home. Then when I got off work, I'd take them out and put them in the field someplace. And that I did for 20-some years.
Wow.
And then when I moved up here, then the season for beekeeping is too short because it's you have to feed them during the winter because there's nothing out there for them. And that takes a lot of honey to keep 80,000 bees fed.
I can imagine.
And a point that is exciting to me is that when a new queen goes out to start another colony, she goes a mile up there, and there she's bred by the drone. And that's exciting.
It is.
Well,
So I want to ask you a little bit about, you have had 2 wives, and one of them has passed away.
yes,
Both of them have had debilitating illnesses, correct?
yes,
And you took care of both of them.
yes.
So would you be willing to tell us a little bit about your experiences with that?
Well, the first one, we were building a house up in the mountains, and we designed it to where our living spaces was upstairs because it was on a grade, and the bottom was an apartment. Well, we got everything done but putting the cabinets in, and this one Saturday, the cabinet maker brought the cabinets in, and we had a rail around the house so we could go sit out on the deck. So the rail was taken loose so we could bring the cabinets in. Well, the cabinet maker and I were talking because he was going to bring the rest of the cabinets in on Sunday, and my wife was making dinner, and of course she wanted to know what we were talking about, so she come out there, and the first thing she did was put her arms up on the rail, and over she went. She went 80 feet to the ground, and she broke her neck. And she was taken to Hammett to the hospital and transferred from there to Loma Linda, which was a Seventh-day Adventist hospital. Very good hospital. She spent 8 months there, and they tried to educate her. They were willing to give her a van equipped for her, but she says, no, Ray will take care of me. So I took her home and took care of her for 8 years. And then, and in the meantime, I spent 8 years studying to be a chiropractor to help see if I couldn't get her back to where she could walk. And the church that she belonged to says, well, the doctor said, Ray, you're going to have to quit this. If you don't, you're going to be in a wheelchair, and then you won't be any good to anybody. Well, she was with the church group not too long, and she got a bed sore. And you know what happens when you have a bed sore? Well, it wasn't long till I didn't have a wife anymore. And then, well, I belonged to the school district, Garden Grove School District, as a lawnmower repairman. And where I met Rose, and we went together for a number of years before we got married. And she has been my companion ever since. Until 2005, she come down with Alzheimer's. And I lost a brother in the hospital here. And I said, no way will I put my wife in there for them to take care of. So I've been taking care of her for 11 years.
And what motivated you to take care of them and not institutionalize them?
What motivated me? Because with the attention that my brother didn't get here. When he was in Heritage Place, they had 2 tables that held 5 people. They would bring their meals out and set them out for them. Well, with Alzheimer's, you don't even know what a spoon is. So an Alzheimer's person can't feed themselves because they don't know what they're doing. All they know is to play. They're babies. They're 4 and 5 months old. Well, there was 2, I guess they were supposed to be nurses, I don't know. But you never saw them at the table where the Alzheimer's patients were. They was over across the room with women that was in there just because their families didn't want to be bothered with them. And my brother's wife went in there for 8 years to feed her husband. Every day from 11:30 until 1. And that's what motivated my taking care of my wife. I love her. I don't want anybody to mess with her.
So you tried several different therapies to help your wife, is that right?
Absolutely.
So which one worked best for you?
My own way. I took her to Dr. Lindsay, and he said, well, Namenda is well known. We'll try that for a while. Well, we put her on Namenda, and as far as I was concerned, it did nothing. So I just said, we'll play it my way. And I proceeded to do that. I don't give her medicine. I do my own physical. Well, I don't do it now. I have caregivers now, and they follow my instructions. And the lady is the only thing that irks me is that people seem to think that Alzheimer's is a disease. Well, I guess it is a disease, but it isn't communicable. But the people that we know, abandon us. So, and that she can't learn, as you know, you can't learn to speak unless you have people that are going to talk with you. That's where you pick up being able to talk. Well, there is nobody here. But she is learning some, and she can't tell you a sentence because she don't know the words that go in there to connect words to make a sentence. And she does walk. Now she walks on her own, but not far. Somebody is always with her, just so that if she loses her balance, they can catch her before she goes to the floor. And the same thing with language. I went to Dr. Ann because there was a I can't think of the word now, but anyway, it was to where I could take her in the car. And they said, well, all you have to do is turn in a prescription. Well, Dr. Ann submitted the prescription, and it went to Medicare, and they refused it because they said, well, anybody can get in a car. Not everybody can get in a car. If you're handicapped, how do you get in a car? If you don't even know what a car seat is, if you don't even know what a car is, how can you get in it? But that was their response. And they said, well, you can appeal it. So I appealed it. I had a physical therapist come out here, and she even got a prescription. Then I got a chance to get a wheelchair accessible van, and so that's what I take her around in now.
Wow. That's beautiful.
But Medicare won't pay for that either.
Well, let's change gears here just a little bit.
Pardon?
I said let's change gears here just a little bit. You have plans for a trip to Chicago, is that right?
Correct.
Why don't you tell me about your plans?
Well, many years ago, we traveled an awful lot after we retired, before Rose got sick. And I knew that the lady wanted to go ride on a train because she had told me. And, well, things just worked out to where I think I've got enough money and savings to pay for the trip. And I just said, you know, there's no time like the present, because who knows how soon she's going to leave this world. So with my caregiver right now, which is a wonderful lady, and she's working with me just great. We have arranged the tickets and all, and we leave on Wednesday. It's just a 4-day trip, that's all it is. But it'll give her a chance to, and hopefully, I pray, but that's going to take a miracle, that when she gets in Chicago and she gets off of the train, and her son that she hasn't seen in a long time will be there, and she will recognize him. And hopefully she'll call his name. And that'll be a blessing to me. And that's the thing.
Can you tell me about how it is that you enjoy life through the hard times?
Well, I enjoy life because I have seen an awful lot of life disappear. I saw my brother leave because of the caregiver that you don't get here. Well, you don't get it any place because people don't want to work. They want money given to them, but they don't want to work for it, no matter what it is. And I think, to me, life is short. Why not enjoy it?
That's right.
And the only way you're going to enjoy it is to talk to people. So I communicate with people every place I go. And I enjoy that. You find out what happens, what people do in their life. And I like that.
What are your other future plans?
Hmm?
What are your other future plans?
This is something in state legislature that should be adjusted. We have millions of senior citizens in this state, not just in this state, but all over. Our legislative people don't care about the seniors. They figure that they're a burden. But that they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for senior citizens. The senior citizens are the backbone of this country. And I think that our legislators, state legislators, should start thinking that if it wasn't for them, they wouldn't be in the position they're in. So I think that they should think of giving the seniors the due that they're entitled to, instead of well, the last thing that irked me was our esteemed president deemed that senior citizens didn't need their little stipend that they get from Social Security. You know how much I got? 2 cents. Now, how far is 2 cents going to go to buy even a loaf of bread? I think that instead of running all over the country trying to bring more people into this country, they should think about the people that they have here. And the other thing that I just read in the paper this morning, that they want to bring minimum wages up to $15 an hour. Well, the people that propose this are young people. They don't think of us old people that can't get any more money. They won't hire us because we're too old. Well, where are we going to get, in my case, where am I going to get $15 an hour to pay you to come out and help me take care of my wife so I can go to the grocery store when I make $1,800 a month? And well, of course, they don't want me to live in my house. They want me to go live in a community house. But most old people don't want to live in a community house. They want to live in the home that they were brought up in. So I think that we should have a committee to go out and canvass the community to see how many senior citizens over 70 years of age that are living alone. On what? Well, I know that my sister, when she passed away, the only thing that she was getting was $600 a month. Well, how far will $600 a month go to pay the taxes and everything else? And my suggestion is, when you reach 70 years of age, you shouldn't pay taxes and you shouldn't pay insurance. The world should take care of you. You come into this world and you made a living. Somebody else didn't give it to you. But now they want the living given to them while they're able to get out and work, and I don't believe in that. Thank you for your time.